I spent years trying to figure out why society feels like it's breaking apart. People are anxious, confused, and spiritually weak. Every institution is weaker than it ever has been. Morality is a subjective thing. Purpose, there isn't any. Identity, well, I can become a man or a woman. It doesn't matter. Nobody agrees on truth. We are all living through a moral decay. I found three thinkers that perfectly explain this collapse. Thomas Hobbes, he shows us what humans are without moral order. Nietzsche shows us what happens when moral order dies. C.S. Lewis shows us how to rebuild meaning. And their ideas lead to one singular conclusion. A conclusion modern society is terrified to admit. The only path to a higher version of man is to accept that we need a higher moral authority. Human nature without restraint. Hobbes lived through civil wars. He literally watched society collapse. He saw what humans became when rules vanished. His answer was brutal and honest. Human nature is not peaceful. Human nature is not compassionate. Human nature is not equal. Human nature is dangerous. Human nature is me versus everybody. And without a social contract that we give up that idea that it's me versus everybody, we have no laws, no shared morality, no higher authority, and no consequences to those actions. And the results of this, life becomes solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, and short because we become the animals that we are inside. It is our level one uh, basic instincts is what we will hold on to. We will not try to build anything or create anything better than us because we don't have that mind frame to do that. Like, imagine a world with no police, no courts, and no morality. Everybody just agrees that what's mine is mine. I get what I want and I get what I need. Look at what happens when you see cities have rolling blackouts. Crime goes up. Look at internet behavior when nobody knows who's talking. Look at how prisons operate. When you take away the social contract, you have things divided on race lines. That's how things work in prisons. What the real point of that is when morals are collapsing, humans revert to their basic instinct: dominance, fear, superstition, and survival. And that is what all humans are at the end of the day. We are all apes. We are like animals who want the best for us, and we don't really care about anybody else. So when we don't have a shared goal at the end of the day, our only goal is to better myself. And that can be at the detriment to anybody else because humanity is a selfish, cruel being. That's who we are at the end of the day. We are all able to commit atrocities and justify them in our own hearts. And that's where we get the solution for this: the social contract. Hobbes wasn't being negative. He wasn't just being an asshole and trying to make everybody's feelings hurt. He was explaining why societies exist, what the whole function of it is. Humans escape chaos by agreeing on a higher moral authority. We have to have a shared goal so that we don't all go crazy and try to eat each other. Historically, this authority was God, church, a king under God, or any shared religious code. This contract does two things. One, it restrains the worst impulses of humanity. And two, it allows people to cooperate and build trust, build societies without the fear of a person coming and taking everything they just built through brute strength. Without a shared uh, order, the social contract is there isn't one. It might as well not exist. And that failure is exactly what Nietzsche saw coming, and what he talked about in Thus Spoke Zarathustra, the last man. And Nietzsche, the death of God and the collapse of meaning. Nietzsche isn't a destroyer, he's a prophet of collapse. That's how I feel about him. A lot of people think Nietzsche wanted the death of God, but that's not really what really, he just saw it coming. He saw how it was fomenting in the 19th century. Core ideas are God died in the minds of modern people, not physically, but psychologically, culturally, and morally. What happens when God dies? Objective morality collapses, the social contract dissolves, values lose meaning, and people drift into nihilism. And when people do that, that means that identity becomes unstable. Society becomes directionless. Nobody has a shared value or a shared idea of where we're going. We are a country on a road trip without a map, and nobody knows where we're going. And the last man, it's described as a spiritual emptiness, an obsession with comfort, an addiction to pleasure, and they're all afraid of responsibility. We are all to be mediocre and passive. And this connects with Hobbes perfectly. Without God, you return to a state of nature, but this time not with swords and shields, but with antidepressants, entertainment, addiction, and a deep sense of pointlessness. Nietzsche's dream was he hoped the collapse might inspire a new kind of man, a disciplined, strong, meaningful, self overcoming, and one that creates his own values. But he had one problem. He had no new moral system to replace the old one. He diagnosed the disaster, but had no cure. Nietzsche saw the vacuum. He saw what happened when Christian morality disappears. He saw how society drifts into weaknesses. But he couldn't reconstruct moral order. Why? Because no man can just invent values and expect millions to follow. Values require transcendent authority. Values need a source above human option. And this is where I believe C.S. Lewis steps into play. C.S. Lewis, the reconstruction of morality. Lewis agrees with Hobbes. Human nature is fallen. Instincts alone lead to chaos. You need a guide, a structure, a higher law, a higher authority. And Lewis also agrees with Nietzsche. Morality is dead in a modern society, and morality is collapsing. People are weak and confused, and society is losing its meaning fast. What Lewis thought of this was Christianity is not about controlling of people. Christian morality is the blueprint for elevating human nature. Lewis described Christian morality as discipline, self-conquest, restraint over impulse, love governed by truth, courage under suffering, humility over pride, forgiveness to break cycles of violence. Why is this powerful? Because it refines man, not by suppressing him, but by transforming him. Christian morality is evolution. It produces stable families, it produces societies capable of cooperation, and it produces self-control, purpose-driven individuals. Ambition tempered by virtue, men who overcome themselves. This is the moral foundation Nietzsche needed. The integration of Hobbes, Lewis, and Nietzsche. Hobbes proves humans need a higher moral authority. Nietzsche proves the collapse of the authority destroys society. Lewis proves Christian morality is the only structure strong enough to rebuild the order and lift man higher. Together, I believe they create a unified insight. Man without God becomes the beast. Man with God becomes the higher man. Christianity enables the higher man Nietzsche dreamed of. Nietzsche's Übermensch needs discipline, meaning, moral strength, self-overcoming, responsibility, and purpose. These do not arise from a society of moral chaos. They do not come from secularism. They do not come from relativism. These arise in a Christian moral culture. The Übermensch cannot grow in a world that rejects the higher authority. The Übermensch becomes possible only inside a society created by Christian moral laws. My conclusion is Christianity is not a step backwards, it is an evolutionary step. It is the natural progress from chaos to greatness. It is how men rise beyond instincts. It is how we become something higher. We stand at a fork. Beast or man, chaos or order, relativism or responsibility, death of meaning or rebirth of purpose. And the path forward is the same one that built the West in the first place. Christian morality, the true social contract, the foundation for greatness. And this is why we need to understand and appreciate and integrate these ancient teachings into our society. We are not smart enough to create a whole new world and a whole new moral system. It will turn into chaos and man versus man. We need a return to the ancient traditions.